What's up guys, it's Nicole, also known as Nikki Vegan, and today I'm going to be showing you 3 unique holiday side dishes. I've got a 1-minute cranberry sauce. Yeah, 1 minute. It's actually really easy to make, obviously, because it only takes a minute, and I think you guys are really gonna love it. I also have some creamy potatoes au gratin, and to top it off, I have a holiday salad, which I know seems kind of like a salad, but trust me, it has so many different flavors and textures, and it kind of just tastes like the holidays all in one delicious dish. It's one of those that you just have to taste to believe, so let's get started. So let's start with that 1-minute cranberry sauce. For this, you are going to need 1 can of jellied cranberry sauce. Just check the back to make sure that it's vegan. There's tons of them out there that are. And I don't know if you guys remember this show on the Food Network back in the day called Semi-Homemade, but it was hosted by a lady named Sandra Lee, and she would kind of zhuzh up store-bought things and give them kind of a homemade touch so that they tasted homemade without always having to go through all of the effort. And that is something that I think you can definitely do here with cranberry sauce. A lot of your other dishes are going to be made from scratch, so why not just take a tiny little bit of help from the grocery store when you can. All you're going to do is empty the can into a mixing bowl along with a good pinch of nutmeg and the juice of half of an orange. I actually used a clementine, but that worked really well too. And then I just finished this with a little bit of black pepper, whisk it all together, and it tastes so much fresher and brighter and frankly more delicious than just the canned version, and no one will know that it only took you about, honestly, a minute to make. Now we're going to move on to that salad I told you about earlier. So for this, you're going to need 1/3 cup of pecans, 1/3 cup of walnuts, and 1/4 cup of pumpkin seeds. Then we're going to add lots of nice holiday flavor with 1/2 teaspoon of dried rosemary and 1/2 teaspoon of dried thyme. And then I just add some extra flavor with 2 pinches of salt, some black pepper, and a teaspoon of olive oil. Then I just pulse this a couple of times until you get a nice crumbly mixture, and then you transfer that to a baking sheet and let it bake for about 5 to 10 minutes until it gets a little bit golden brown and really fragrant. And this is going to add so much flavor and delicious texture to our salad. In the meantime, you can go ahead and make your salad dressing. So for this, you're going to need 2 tablespoons of cranberry sauce. I used the one that I made earlier and it worked really well. And then you can do 3 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar and the juice of half of an orange. Cranberry and orange is really a match made in heaven, especially with holiday flavors, because it's a little bit sweet, a little bit tangy, and they just really complement each other really nicely. I'm going to sweeten up this salad dressing just a tiny bit with a teaspoon of maple syrup and then balance it out with some salt. I do a big pinch of salt and a really big pinch of onion powder and then just some black pepper. Whisk that together, and then it's time to combine the salad. So what I like to do is get a mixing bowl with about 1 apple. Go ahead and chop it up. I sliced it because I thought it would look pretty, but honestly, it's better to just chop it up. Then add a handful of dried cranberries, a couple of cups of mixed greens, and then the warm toasted nut mixture along with that cranberry salad dressing that we made. Give this a nice toss, and then what I like to do is top it with something really bright and seasonal like persimmons. Again, I would recommend chopping them up because even though it looks pretty to have these larger pieces, it tastes better if you kind of have little bits all throughout the salad. If you happen to have some pomegranate seeds, go ahead and add those on top because this is really a celebration of all of the best flavors of fall. So you've got that rosemary, the thyme, that savoriness complements the sweet and tanginess from the dressing, and you've got the crunch from the apples and that little bit of chewiness from the cranberries. It's bomb. You guys are gonna love it. For the potatoes au gratin, we're gonna make a really creamy sauce without using any dairy by using 1 cup of cashews. You can soak these overnight for a really nice creamy sauce, but if you don't have time for that, what I do is I just put them in some hot boiling water and I let them sit for about an hour, and that kind of does the trick too. In the meantime, I'll go ahead and prep my potatoes. You wanna cut them into very, very, very thin discs because that's gonna make this a really, really nice creamy texture. And then I'll also go ahead and prep half of an onion and 1 clove of garlic, saute that until it's nice and soft, and then I'm going to add 10 to 12 button mushrooms. I also slice these really, really thin so that they layer really nicely in the dish. And then I really like getting these herb blends from the grocery store this time of year. It usually has some thyme, some rosemary, and sage, and even just opening the container smells so good. And I'll add a couple of sprigs of thyme, I usually do 4 or 5, and 1 of rosemary. I'll add some salt and pepper, and then I'll let this kind of saute until everything is nice and golden brown and obviously smelling amazing. Now back to that sauce, we're going to drain the cashews and add them to a blender along with 1 cup of unsweetened almond milk. And then we're gonna add some flavor with half of a teaspoon of salt, half of a teaspoon of ground sage. By the way, I wanted to show you, I get this one at Target. I find it's the easiest to find. And then I also add half of a teaspoon of onion powder and 1 tablespoon of nutritional yeast. I love this sauce because you literally just put everything into a blender, blend it up for about 30 seconds, and voila, you have a sage cream sauce that's actually very versatile. You can use it for a ton of different things, but today we're using it for the potatoes au gratin. And at this point, you can invite the kids into the kitchen or family members that have been wanting to help out, because this is a fun thing to do together. You can kind of layer this on step by step. Everyone can have a job. You know, the holidays are about making memories in the kitchen, not just at the table, in my opinion. I also want to point out that you want to make sure that you cut your potatoes thinner than what I did here. Sometimes you have to do as I say, not as I do. At this point, I like to do a couple of pinches of salt. You want to be pretty generous with the salt here because we have quite a few potatoes in this dish, so you want to add lots of flavor. Then I'll sprinkle on some nutritional yeast and some vegan Parmesan cheese. Here I have the one by Violife, which I think is really delicious. I also really like the one from Follow Your Heart, so if that's what you have on hand, go ahead and use that. It works super well. You're gonna go ahead and continue layering until you get to the very top, and then I like to make sure that the last layer is cream sauce and vegan Parmesan cheese. And what I like to do to make sure I get every last bit of the cream sauce out of the blender is I'll take 1/4 cup of almond milk and I'll kind of swish it around the blender like that, and then I'll pour that over top. And this also adds another layer of moisture to the dish to make sure that the potatoes cook all the way through, because you want them to be extremely tender and soft and really absorb as much sauce as possible. So I'll cover this with some aluminum foil. I'll bake it in a 375-degree oven for about 45 to 50 minutes, and then I'll take off the foil and let it cook and kind of brown and get nice and crispy on top for another 10 to 15 minutes. And don't forget that step, because those crispy bits on top is definitely the best part. Alright guys, that's it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and share with your friends and family who may also be needing some last minute holiday side dishes. I know that everyone is kind of looking for something new and unique, and I really hope this is helpful for you guys. If you recreate any of these recipes, I would love to see, so snap a picture on Instagram and tag me. I have my social media and all of my other Thanksgiving videos from years before in the description box below, so make sure you check that out, and I will see you guys in a video very soon. Bye!